In the headlines, several people trapped as three-story building collapses in Kano. Police rescue 12 kidnapped victims in Zamfara. And on the foreign scene, Iraqi cleric Sadr calls for end to protests over his resignation from politics. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. Several people have been trapped in a three-story building that collapsed in Beirut Road, GSM Market in Kano. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril says hundreds of people were trading under the building at the time of the collapse. Fire service, police and other emergency workers are currently on site for rescue operations. And the police in Zamfara State say they have rescued 12 kidnapped victims, including a 5-month-old baby. A statement by the command's public relations officer, Muhammad Shehu, said the victims, who were rescued unhurt, were abducted by terrorists and taken to Karekukanka Forest, a bandits camp of a notorious bandit leader, popularly known as Bellame Billi, and spent 1 month in captivity. The police also said the victims were medically checked at 42 PMF Clinic Gusau, thereafter debriefed by the police and handed over to their families. The Commissioner of Police, Kolo Yusuf, while congratulating the victims for regaining their freedom, assured the public of the command's commitment to apprehend the perpetrators of the dastardly act in the state. Meanwhile, troops have killed a bandit and captured 3 others alive in efforts to rid Kaduna State of banditry. The Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, disclosed this in a terse statement on Tuesday. He said the troops cleared bandits in Buruku, Udawa, Manini, Birnungwari, Doka, Kuyelo and Dogondawa communities in Kaduna State. Nwachukwu stated that the incident happened on Monday while the soldiers were on a fighting patrol in the area, adding that some of the bandits fled with various degrees of injuries. Items recovered from the bandits include 1 AK-47 rifle, 27 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition and 18 motorcycles. The Army spokesman also urged members of the public, particularly health facilities and paramedics, to watch out for persons who may be seeking medical attention for gunshot wounds. Should they see any person with gunshot injuries, Nwachukwu asked healthcare facilities to please report to relevant security agencies. Meanwhile, over 200 shops have been destroyed following a flood disaster at the popular Kantunkwari Textile Market in Kano. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril reports that millions of naira was also believed to have been lost at the time of the heavy downpour. His report.
It is hard to imagine that this is the most popular textile market in Nigeria. But such is the situation of the famous Kantunkwari Textile Market in Kano shortly after a heavy downpour. According to traders, the entire market is flooded, affecting over 200 shops containing goods worth millions of naira.
We have never seen this type of calamity since the fire outbreak during Shekarau. And this incident, we believe, is as a result of poor drainage system and some illegal structures within the market, which are affecting us seriously. And this is why this flood disaster is seriously affecting us. We have lost a lot of things here.
Over the years, Kantunkwari Textile Market attracts traders from different parts of the West African sub-region, which necessitated the need for expansion. But traders say the lack of drainage system and illegal structures may have been responsible for the flood.
The only reason why we are in this situation is because government is doing whatever they want in this market. People are building shops anyhow and without any proper planning. Therefore, all drainage systems within the market are blocked. For God's sake, why will flood not destroy our goods? We keep on having this problem repeatedly and no one is doing anything to us.
Meanwhile, traders are asking the state government to withdraw building approvals on places within the market that are meant for drainage.
Thousands of people have lost billions of naira. We are not talking about millions, but billions, because over 200 shops were affected. And most of these shops have money inside, which is now gone. You can see even me, I'm trying to dry my own goods. If you climb upstairs, you would see a lot of people trying to clear their goods, trying to find a way to fix their goods. We only seek for God's assistance.
Although all efforts to speak with the leadership of the quarry market or the market union was not successful, but traders say they have lost virtually everything at the moment. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
While the Kano state government says it will soon begin the demolition of structures constructed on waterways following floods that have taken over major areas of the metropolis. The Commissioner for Information, Muhammad Garba, in a statement said the government has set up a technical committee to look into the prevailing incidents of flooding occasioned by the intermittent heavy downpour recorded in the state in the last few days. He said the government was worried about the occurrence of the floods, which had wreaked havoc on the metropolitan area, including the popular Kantinkwari textile market, where marketers said they had incurred over 200 million naira in losses. Meanwhile, the death toll from the floods in Jigawa has risen to 51 as residents continue to recover from the havoc wreaked by the menace. This was disclosed on Tuesday by the Executive Secretary of the Jigawa State Emergency Management Agency, Sani Yusuf. According to him, about 2,051 people have been displaced in Karnaya village in Dutse, the state capital. He stated that the state government has forwarded a report to the federal government seeking support in the management of the disaster. And the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, in its latest weather forecast, predicted 96 hours of heavy rainfall in 5 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory. The states to be affected include parts of Kaduna, Niger, Bauchi, Plateau, Nasarawa states and the FCT. NIMET disclosed that moderate to heavy rainfall is also expected in other parts of the country within the period under review. The forecast revealed that there are chances of flash flooding on roads, low-lying settlements and river channels following 2 consecutive days of downpour. The weather reports showed that the moderate and heavy downpour is expected to be accompanied by strong winds, especially over the northern and central states. Hence, the public is advised to avoid low-lying terrains, not to drive through running water, clear waterways of debris, avoid standing under trees and unsecured structures during the rain, and switch off electrical appliances. President Muhammadu Buhari has assented to 8 bills recently passed by the National Assembly. The bills are the Civil Aviation Act, Nigeria Meteorological Agency Establishment Act, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria Establishment Act, and the Nigeria Council for Management Development Act 2022. Others are the National Institute of Credit Administration Establishment Act, Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners Establishment Act, Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria Act, and Counseling Practitioners Council of Nigeria Act 2022. In a statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters in the House of Representatives, Nasiru Baballe Ila, said the move repeals the Civil Aviation Act No. 6, 2006 and enacts the Civil Aviation Act 2022 to provide for an effective legal framework for the regulation of civil aviation in Nigeria in order to promote aviation safety, security, and ensure that Nigeria's obligations under international aviation agreements are implemented and consolidated. And to judicial matters now, where the Court of Appeal in Abuja has set aside the decision of a federal high court which recognized Shehu Sagagi as the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Kano State. Sagagi, who was anointed by former governor Rabiu Kwankwaso to lead the party in the state, is accused of being loyal to his former party leader, who now defected to the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. The National Working Committee of the PDP had on March 29th dissolved the state, local and ward executive committees of Kano State chapter of the party and appointed a 6-man caretaker committee as replacement. On May 25th, Justice Taiwo issued a perpetual injunction retaining the PDP headquarters from removing Sagagi from office until the end of his tenure in December 2024. But the Court of Appeal on Monday set aside Justice Taiwo's judgment, saying it was the internal affair of the party and that the party had powers to dissolve the Kano executives. The Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed October 19th, 20th and 21st as the trial dates for the embattled Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, and 4 others. Justice Emeka Nwite fixed the trial dates in his ruling on Tuesday in the nation's capital. He equally declined to grant bail to the accused. They were being prosecuted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, on allegations bordering on a cocaine deal. Kyari was arraigned alongside 4 suspended police officers, including ACP Sunday Ubia, ASP James, Inspector Simon Agirigba, and Inspector John Nuhu as 2nd to 5th defendants, respectively. Meanwhile, these suspects are to be remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center in Abuja, pending the commencement of their trial in October. You're watching Trust TV News Update. And still to come on the news, how Nkaba Market in Kano thrives. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's recap some of our top stories. Several people trapped as 3-story building collapses in Kano. And police rescue 12 kidnapped victims in Zamfara. Moving on to other news now. The Secretary of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, George Apungu, on Monday asked the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, to collaborate with the Commission to prevent corruption and other wrong practices from destroying Nigeria. He spoke in Abuja when he visited the NYSC Director General, Brigadier General Muhammad Kauku Fada, to strengthen the existing Memorandum of Understanding between both agencies. According to Epungu, both agencies have all it takes to prevent corruption practices during the 2023 general elections. He said corps members who are to participate in the conduct of the elections should be trained to resist politicians and their corrupt practices. On his part, Fada assured that during the coming elections, corps members would do better than they had done in the past. Yankaba is one of the largest markets in northern Nigeria where vegetables and other perishable goods are sold. Now, despite the increase in the price of food items and other essential commodities, the Yankaba morning market in Kano is still thriving. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril visited the early morning market and now reports.
Kano is commercially viable, and by implications, the people of Kano knows exactly how to do business at any time of the day. This place, for instance, is where vegetable and other perishable goods are sold in Kano. It's called Yankaba Morning Market, which operate at between 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. daily. This market starts at about 3 a.m., sometimes to close around 9 a.m. At worst, that's if there is no customers. We reach 12 p.m. The Yankaba morning market is largely patronized by restaurant owners, fast food joints, among other households. It's a market supplying vegetables to other markets. The price of everything has gone up because we used to suffer before we get, for instance, cabbage here. Therefore, the prices is not as it used to be. The demand is always high here, but traders say supply is sometimes the problem, leading to increase in price of the product.
You see, I'm here to buy vegetables, but everything is high. Look at rice, look at the cabbage. I do buy a bag of green vegetable at over 3,000 naira. For what? In fact, I'm not voting for anyone this time around.
While the morning market continued to thrive, residents hopes that the high cost in price will significantly reduce across the country. Idris Jibril, Trust TV News, Kano.
Street lights ensure that a road is safer and creates efficient movement of vehicles and pedestrians at night time. In this report, Kabir Lawal looks at the level of lighting in the Federal Capital Territory and why it is important.
Lighting is often planned in urban areas to enhance night traffic operations with maximum possible safety, comfort and convenience. So what is the significance of lighting poles on the edge of the roads for brightening the surroundings? For security reasons, this is no doubt that driver at night without proper street lights can be a very dangerous affair. But while government provides street lights, there are some saboteurs who destroy this very important infrastructure.
Street lights are very important. Number one, to prevent all those hooligans, hoodlums, those bandits, those scallywag from hiding under the tree or in a dark place. When there is a street light, everybody will be able to see everywhere, every nook and the corner of the roads, so that the bandit will not have access to hide anywhere. That is number one. Then number two, there are some motors. Their full light are not very sharp, not so bright. But when there is street light, whether they have full light or not, they'll be able to see clearly wherever they are going. And by so doing, there will be no any sort of motor accident.
Residents believe that proper lighting, especially at dark spots, will reduce the attack on persons by hoodlums.
There are some criminals that will come and steal some of the things in the street light, and some of them are not working. Instead of the government to check on the place all the time, they will just leave everything in dark. Especially in the night, if you watch up, they will be stealing. That is why you see kidnappers everywhere, criminals everywhere, Boko Harams everywhere. It's because of the street light are not working.
A huge number of fatalities have occurred at night as a result of low visibility and poor street lights. According to annual and global road crash statistics, somewhere around 1.3 million people die in road crashes every year, which means approximately 3,000 287 deaths are recorded per day. These numbers are alarming, especially as many happen at night. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
TV News Update. The news continues shortly after this. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now, Delta Airlines has announced the suspension of its New York to Lagos direct flights, effective from October 4th, 2022. The airline, in a statement, said its decision is to fit the current demand environment, adding that it will continue to operate its Lagos and Atlanta flights. The International Air Transport Association earlier in June said the Nigerian government was withholding $450 million that foreign carriers operating in the country had earned. However, the Central Bank of Nigeria last Friday announced the release of $265 million to foreign airlines, whilst the Association of Foreign Airlines and representatives in Nigeria urged the Apex Bank to release the trapped funds in time. And now for a look at the foreign scene, where Iraqi cleric Muqtada al-Sadr called on his followers to stop protesting on Tuesday after violent clashes between rival Shiite Muslim groups continued for a second day, following his announcement that he was withdrawing from politics. In a televised address, Sadr said set a one-hour deadline for his supporters to leave their protests in the fortified Green Zone in central Baghdad, where they have been occupying parliament for weeks. The violence prompted Iran to close its air and land borders with Iraq, just as millions of Iranians were preparing for an annual pilgrimage to Shiite sites. Tensions soared in Iraq amid a political crisis that has left the country without a new government, prime minister, or president for months. Now for a look at sports, where West Ham have announced the club record signing of Brazil midfielder Lucas Paquetá on a 5-year contract. The 25-year-old, who is expected to be part of Brazil's squad at this year's World Cup, has joined from Lyon. The initial £36.5 million deal for Paquetá could rise to more than £50 million with potential add-ons, eclipsing the £45 million signing of striker Sébastien Haller from Eintracht Frankfurt in 2019. Paquetá joined Lyon for £20 million in 2020 after 18 months at AC Milan. Paquetá scored 9 goals and contributed 6 assists in 35 League One appearances last season. And Bournemouth have sacked manager Scott Parker after Saturday's 9-0 defeat by Liverpool 4 games into the season. It was their 3rd straight league defeat, having won their opening match. Gary O'Neill will take interim charge of the team and will be assisted by Sean Cooper and Tommy Elphick. Parker left Fulham for Bournemouth in June 2021 and led them to promotion from the Championship as runners-up. After winning their opening match 2-0 at home to Aston Villa, the Cherries conceded 16 goals in their next 3 Premier League games, losing 4-0 at Manchester City, 3-0 at home to Arsenal, before shipping 9 goals at Anfield. The former Charlton and Chelsea midfielder became the 11th manager to be sacked just 4 games into the Premier League season, the most recent being Javi Gracia at Watford in 2019. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.